Chapter 22. Where's the Loyalty? Fast forward to 1998. Our team had just beaten the University of Oregon in the 1998 Aloha Bowl. Oregon had the future number 3 overall pick in the upcoming NFL draft, Akili Smith. We all proudly converged into the locker room feeling as though we had set the tone for our next season. Our ear-to-ear smiles and excitement were by no means inspired by the great bowl victory we had just completed. The excitement was cultivated by the thought of how great the future of the Colorado Buffalo football team looked. There was a feeling of colossal opportunity heading in our team's direction. Our team was so young and so talented that sky was the limit. We all walked around that post-game locker room feeling that the 1999 season had the potential to be a season none of us would ever forget. Coach Neuheisel added fuel to the fire when during his post-game speech, he urged us to go home and enjoy our New Year's holiday, but come back to school ready to work because in 1999, the Colorado Buffaloes should expect nothing less than a national championship. The locker room erupted with excitement. Not only did a national championship sound good, our team truly believed we could pull it off. Unfortunately, what our team didn't know at the time was that it would be the last time Rick Neuheisel would ever address our team as our head coach. Less than 2 weeks later, Neuheisel had abandoned our team to become the head coach for the University of Washington Huskies. I got back on the plane to head home feeling good about the team I was a part of. Since the game was played on Christmas Day, we actually had a good 2 weeks at home with our families until we were due back in Colorado for the second semester of school and winter conditioning. I headed home as a 19-year-old local celebrity. These 2 weeks would be a perfect time to catch up with family and friends and to party. One night, I walked into my parents' home at about 10:30 p.m. after spending some time with some high school friends and received the biggest shock of my young football career. My dad was up in his room watching television in bed as usual when I went into his room to let him know I was home. At that time, my father came right out and told me, "Your coach just left Colorado." This sort of comment wasn't something my dad was above joking about, so I brushed it off initially and told him to stop playing. But the look on his face was not what usually followed after one of his typical pranks. He instructed me to watch the 11 p.m. edition of SportsCenter on ESPN. That's when our home phone started ringing, one call after the other. The word had gotten out, so family and friends were beginning to call to see if we heard of my coach's departure. In my room, I turned on the TV and prayed for this all to be a bad dream. Nightmare confirmed. Headlines stated that head coach Rick Neuheisel had indeed jumped ship for the University of Washington. Grief came over me, and then anger took the helm. I was pissed off. It felt like I'd been cheated on by a lying spouse. A spouse who says all the right things, makes you feel like you are the only one, but is so calculated with her affairs that when the facts are placed in front of you about their deception, you literally get sick to your stomach. To make matters worse, he didn't even have the decency to tell us in person. We had to find out through the media circus. Every news and sports channel had a segment on Rick Neuheisel's departure. I felt so low. Rick himself had romanced me and all of the other guys on the team, so to speak. Extravagant dinners, parties, promises of greatness and victory together. And just like that, he and our collective athletic dreams had disappeared. In the heat of the moment of betrayal, how do you rationalize something like this? I couldn't. There would be lessons learned later on, but for now, it was betrayal in the first degree. And what did this mean for my future? However, it wasn't all bad. The situation taught me a very valuable lesson about making life decisions. This was a lesson that will help aspiring athletes at all levels of the game ask themselves why before signing with one school or professional team versus the other. First and foremost, a coach should never be the sole purpose in your signing decision. A coach's contract is no stronger than the paper that it is written on. I was so excited about performing for and learning under Coach Neuheisel that I let his charm whisk me away into a fantasy without giving any weight to the possibility of his early rumored departure. The University of Colorado Buffalo were about to venture into uncharted waters. We didn't have a head coach, which meant there was definitely going to be change. Unexpected change can be a source of stress and discouragement, and the future of our team and my career were up in the air. I was only a redshirt freshman at the time, which meant unless the big heads that were in control of hiring our next head coach hired someone already on our coaching staff, I would be playing the next 75% of my college career under a person I have never met. Not to mention, I had coaxed my best friend Donald Strickland to come along for the journey. He was a true freshman, so he had not even hit the field yet, which meant 100% of his career was up for grabs. So excuse my French, but at the time, I was thinking we were definitely screwed. Coach Neuheisel had made a personal business decision that would affect all of us, and possibly our personal dreams, plus the team's dreams as well. The true intensity of this betrayal hit when we realized that Neuheisel's entire career moves took place behind the scenes right under our noses while we were in Hawaii for the Aloha Bowl. During the 1998 bowl season, our team had accepted a bid to play against the Oregon Ducks, but this particular year, the representatives for the game thought it would be a great idea to have the first ever bowl doubleheader. I'm sure the Aloha Bowl committee didn't think at the time that adding another game might eventually change the landscape of college football and the futures of so many individual players, but it did. Usually teams spend a week at the bowl site before the game to get used to the venue, the city, get extra practice, and get involved with pre-bowl festivities. All of this is in the name of publicity. It helps to attract local and national attention to the game. Since the Aloha Bowl was hosting the first ever doubleheader bowl game in college football history, all of our pre-bowl game events included 4 teams instead of the usual 2. Barbara Hedges, the athletic director for the University of Washington, at the time was in attendance in Hawaii to support her Huskies, scheduled to play the Air Force Academy in the Oahu Bowl that year. This Hawaii trip also afforded Ms. Hedges the opportunity to take a good look at a prospective new head coach for her Huskies. So we can assume that the whole week our team was in Hawaii, Barbara Hedges and Rick Neuheisel were in the makings of what would be the biggest coaching change in college football for the upcoming season. I guess we will never really know if Coach Neuheisel's post-game locker room vision of pursuing a conference and national championship was sincere or not, or if he already knew that the vision was not going to include him. The end of chapter 22.